Not that long ago, I met an Australian set on world domination.
Welcome to Fox Talks Business Podcast with your host, Tanya Fox. Tanya has been an entrepreneur for over 20 years, owning retail, service, and franchise. She holds no punches and is never afraid to talk about the nitty-gritty. Together, you'll explore the good, the bad, and the motivational of business life, turning obstacles into opportunities and failures into successes. So grab your favorite drink and let's have some fun. Here's your host, speaker, crafter, and collaborator, Tanya Fox.
After a decade-long career in law enforcement, Jemimah now works exclusively as a positioning consultant and coach to reduce the alarming statistic that 97% of female-owned startup businesses fail within the first 5 years, which means that women are failing at almost twice the rate of men. Jemimah is seeking to be a part of the reason this changes worldwide. She started her journey in entrepreneurship with the creation of Tangs Design, an ethical jewellery business, and then, soon after, started the Business Experiment podcast. Jemimah is now the co-founder of Who Run the World. So thank you so much for joining me today on the show, Jemimah. I'm so excited to chat with you more.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
So as we're talking, you're actually in the future, which I think is awesome because you're down in Australia.
I am at the moment, yeah. And you'll get some sounds. I'm at my parents' house at the moment. So you'll hear some sounds of Australian wildlife in the background as
That's
well.
perfect. So tell us a little bit about your story and how you sort of got to where you are today.
Yeah, I'm one of the accidental business owners because that's exactly how it happened to me. So I was very happy working in a 9-to-5. I was working as a criminal intelligence analyst for the Australian government. I loved my job, and I had a bit of a chance encounter when I was in New York City, and I met a guy who was making jewelry, and I was like, this is what I want to do with my life now. And everything changed pretty dramatically after that. So I came back to Australia and I started making some jewelry on the side, and I was like, this is a really, really fun little hobby. I'm enjoying this. Did some silversmithing classes, and then it got bigger and bigger and bigger, and it was just making pieces for myself and my friends, and then it was like friends of friends, and then someone said, why don't you go in for the markets? And I was like, that sounds like fun too. And suddenly I had a little business, and that was kind of the start of what has been sort of an epic 5-year journey. So yeah, that was the very start. I was like, I think I accidentally started a business, and work was like, you need to make a choice here now. You are spending way too much time not here. And when I was at work, I was thinking about my business. And when I was in the business, I was like, I should have worked harder today. And I eventually had to make a choice.
And so you're happy with your choice, obviously, because you're still there.
Best thing I ever did. Yeah. So I really threw myself as a bit of a nerd, a self-declared nerd. I love learning. And I think that's really a huge thing for entrepreneurs is we don't learn enough, and we just want to learn our one niche rather than learning everything we can. And I ended up learning everything I could about business. And I was like, I have to do something with this information. I didn't want to just write blogs. So I was like, I'm going to start a podcast. And then I started a podcast, and that's when my profile grew dramatically, really quickly. Started the Business Experiment with my co-founder, Siobhan Joyce, and we ended up having, was named the #2 business podcast in Australia. We were everywhere, like Marie Claire did stories, and we were like, this happens to every podcast, right? It didn't. It didn't. We just, did a really, really good formula. And next thing, people were ringing me to do stories and stuff, which was pretty cool.
And so what is your biggest passion that you're doing right now? Because I know you have a few projects that you're working on.
Yeah. So they all come from sort of this one area. And it comes from the horrendous statistic that 97% of female-led startups will fold in the first 5 years. So, and that comes from multiple different reasons. Women as a whole, we're failing at twice the rate of men. And we do 85% of all household duties. I'm talking kids, groceries, taking the dog to the vet, picking up the prescriptions, getting the kids' school outfits. We do 85% of that stuff, right?
Testify.
And so, yeah, right? And suddenly you have, what looks like an 8-hour window that we're working on our business. We're actually doing about 3 hours a day. And then our male counterparts get that 8 hours a day. And there's a reason, like we do it for 2 years and we actually effectively only really get about 8 months work done, where our male counterparts are getting 2 years done. And so when you start looking at these statistics, it gets really scary really quickly. And the other thing with women is that we are all told to be very nice girls. You have to be nice. Don't push your opinion on other people. Don't promote yourself. Don't talk yourself up. So we are exceptionally good at something and we can't even tell anyone because we've been told not to. Yeah. And we get 85% less time to do it in.
Yeah. And do you find that that's on its way to changing, or do you find that there's still so many women that are stuck in that? It's hard for me to see because I was always raised of just open your mouth. And so I don't have that problem.
So you're like, I'm the opposite. Well, and
I'm the opposite where I'm like, I need to close my mouth more.
I need to learn.
I need to learn to be gentle.
I actually equally see it as harder and also a little bit easier. So things like social media have made it a lot easier for people to start businesses and to get traction and to feel like they're doing stuff. But I think a lot of the thing that we get caught in is the reactive side of business and almost pointless busy work by that point, like putting our social media post for the sake of it, rather than like, this is a structure and this is a plan and this feeds into my bigger why. And I think I think it's less than 5 years. I think we're really failing in that 2-year area because that's when the burnout kicks in.
Yeah.
That's when it becomes really, really clear that we have to start making some choices. Women also have history with the people that I've spoken to and the surveys and the studies and stuff that I've been involved in have been that we try this real ad hoc approach. We do things like we don't plan out a structured course. Like we don't go like, I'm going to start here and talk about my why. We just know that we don't want to work for the man anymore. We want to do our own thing. Right. We want to work from home because we have kids and we want to, feed, be able to cook, and we want to be able to do yoga and meditate. And these are all wonderful things. But we then try this like really unstructured approach to get there. We don't start with our why. We don't start with our goals. We start with like, my friend has a business, so therefore I can do that too. And then we try that Instagram course, and then we try that Facebook one, and then we try to do a sales marketing course when you don't know the structure, bare bones structure of why the hell you're doing this to start with. So it becomes, I think women are trying more businesses. I think we're seeing women kind of step up a little bit more and be like, I can do that. Because of the women who have come before us, we have more tools and more empowerment than ever before. But equally, there is just as many people selling snake oil who are not going to give you good value for what you're paying money for. Or, the other huge rise that we've seen is through multi-level marketing and network marketing stuff.
Yeah.
And that is also, if it works well, it works well, but the odds are not in your favor.
Yeah. And I think it's true what you said. I think we're seeing it more and more on the internet is the word coach. And you had done an awesome video post on it. And it's true because like everybody is like, I'm a coach, right? Like, and you're like, but are you, right? So talk a little bit about that, because you had said there's one thing that coaches are failing to do, and that is actually achieving the goal that you want. So people hire a coach and they go, oh, this person's a coach. But they never did what you wanted them to do. Like you're like, I want to make $1 million. I'm going to hire a coach who has not made $1 million.
I know I'm going to use the example of Mary because she's my favorite. So Mary, I don't actually know Mary. So I just this is a real story based on someone else. I met this woman, let's call her Mary. And she says to me, I need to get a business coach. I was like, sure. Let's talk about it. She's like, well, I've been burnt in the past. And I said, oh, okay, what happened? Because this is not uncommon for me. This is really common. It's Taylor's all this time. And everyone will know someone who's been burnt by a business coach. And she said, so I gave her like $3,000 and nothing happened. I didn't get anything out of it. It was group coaching anyway. And I was like, oh, okay. Who is this person? And I'd never heard of the person. And I went, okay, what is she? Is she full-time coach? She's like, no. She works in like a delicatessen at like one of the supermarket chains at Safeway. And I went, I see where this has gone horribly wrong.
So she's a meat worker.
Yeah, she literally dices ham for a living and takes $3,000 from people. here's the thing. You never ever try to get a book coach who's never released a book. You should never ever get a coach that's not done the thing that you want to do. I'm a coach that can get you to 6 figures, like mid 6 figures. I'm very comfortable doing that. Getting you to 1 million, I'm going to refer you on. Not like, coaches need to know their lane and niche into that and be okay with that. Like, I'm not going to be, I'm going to get you to a size 2. I'm not that, and I'm not going to be able to help you to do that. You want to build a business, build your profile, and become really well known in your industry? Absolutely. I got you, girl. Like, we're fine. And dudes, don't cut them out of it. But we have to be really, really clear here on where our niches are. And we just see these people being like, I read a Tony Robbins book and therefore I'm a business coach or a life coach, which is even more dangerous. Because I just think that this word is bantered around and thrown around, and because it seems to be like, oh, there's so much money in this industry. Well, there is definitely money here, and there's definitely the opportunity for you to do that, but you have to be honest about what you're capable of doing and as a consumer of this, you have to do your research.
Yeah. And I think it goes back to what you were saying before about really understanding what your why is. And if your why is that you're just trying to make as much money as possible, there's going to be a cap on that, right?
Get a 9 to 5, please, for the love of God, get a 9 to 5.
And there's a cap on that because I think you can only go so far with that. Whereas if your why is something that is more sustainable, like you want to help other people, you want to take this journey with them. And I think people underestimate all of those people that are out there that, sure, everybody goes, yeah, it would be great to, sit on my butt all day and make $1 million. But there's more people that are out there that are like, look, I just really want to be able to make a living doing something I love. I just want to be comfortable. And people are missing that huge target market where they're like, it would be nice to make $1 million, but I really just want to keep my lights on this month. That's my goal,
I think there's a lot to be said about, if someone's listening to this and is like, I don't know my why, go and find Simon Sinek's talk on Start With Why, because it's incredibly powerful. Because if your why is to make 6 figures and that can be it, like that could be it, but there has to be a reason for that. Because my why of seeing, let's just level the playing fields between women and men, right? If that's our plan, then we all comfortably sit at 95% of failure because the odds are not in our favor. When you start business, not in your favor for many reasons. But just to level the playing field, when I'm laying in bed and my alarm goes off at 5:30 in the morning, which it does every morning, and I roll over and I hit that alarm and I go, I don't want to do this today. And my why is bigger than me, and is bigger than me just wanting to go back to sleep. Because if it's just like, I'm going to make money, it's like, I can do that later. Covers over the head, go back to sleep, and I'm out till noon, right? Like, or I go, this isn't about me. This is about this bigger global issue of equality and feminism and giving women the right tools in the right time in the right order and supporting people in this journey that's really, really difficult, and to grow other people's profiles to help them make their why achievable. And we're talking about big whys here. We're talking about, I've got a client at the moment whose whole goal is to make sure that there are no female homelessness at all, that sanitary napkins, tampons and pads are available for all women if they're homeless. That's a huge why.
Absolutely.
It's literally a poverty point here in Australia specifically. So it's not about me wanting to have a nap. It's about all the clients I'm working with. And that is the biggest motivator that I will ever find ever. And that's the reason when I'm having the bad day, it's not about me.
Yeah.
It's about everyone else that I'm working with. And this is why your why is so important. You know why you're doing what you're doing. Otherwise you're just doing it for the sake of it. And that's exhausting.
Yeah. And I think it's true because people have that mentality, and I find it so much because I've been an entrepreneur for over 20 years. And I see so many people that are, in a corporate world and are like, I want my own job because I want to have my own time and I want to be able to do what I want. And I'm like, that's like saying that you want to open a bar and it's going to be like the show Cheers, where you just get to walk in and talk with people. But you're missing the part where people are drunk and breaking windows and you're cleaning up someone's puke. And like, there's all that other stuff that you really need to consider. Like, it's not all sunshine and roses.
Yeah. It's,
you know?
Yeah, it's like I met someone who's like, I just want to own like a cafe by the seaside. And I was like, that sounds like the worst job if you just want to chill out. Like, do you know how much work a cafe is? Like, we have to be honest about how much stuff this goes into. And, you know, what that person's explaining, like, I just want to work on my own time and be able to do my own thing. It's like, that's called working from home. And some companies allow that because they're seeing this huge rise in entrepreneurs going, I just want to, you know, and I mean, if we get down to like a real scientific thing here, we aren't designed to work 9 to 5 as humans. Our I think it's called circadian rhythm, do only really give you 90 minutes of concentration at a time before you need to take a half an hour off.
Yeah.
That's huge. Like that change, if we take that out, we are only ever really going to get 5 hours of work done in an 8-hour day. That's massive and a little bit scary for how much time we sit there and force ourselves. And we see this, like, our productivity drops. We are less focused. We make more mistakes. But if we actually adhere to this like 90-minute and then we take that half an hour break, we actually hockey stick up where we just skyrocket and our productivity goes through the roof. So it's actually beneficial for businesses. And they're starting to figure this out, that, you know, the reason we did this was because of the Industrial Revolution for daylight. This is why we have the 9 to 5 working day.
And I think it's interesting too. I remember, you know, even having that mentality of just like working so much, working through my whole day. And then I went to go visit my mom in Puerto Rico. And I remember going to the store and I'm like, it's closed. And she was like, yeah, there's a note on the door. They're taking a nap. And I'm like, what? They just go and take a nap. And she was like,
I want to do that.
And then we went to another store and I'm like, what's this? And she's like, oh, the tide's in. And these guys really like to surf. I'm like, who does this? And she was like, they do. Like, it
was just simple. It was like, this is the culture here. Yeah, this is what we do.
It's like, that's what they do. They know you'll come back. And I was like, yeah, they're right. I'll come back. Like, so one of them, it was because it was the only grocery store that was on the island. So of course you're going to come back. Like, but a lot of the other ones were like, it's not, you know, it's important to take that time. That was a huge lesson for me of going, sometimes I do need to take those breaks and I do need to be okay with that. And I don't have to struggle, like feel like I have to struggle so much to get through it. Like sometimes walking away, like you said, walking away when I'm feeling like I'm just bogged down gives me that clarity to come back to it.
And I think we need to be, I think, you know, with the rise of Instagram and Instafake and Facebook and all of that fake book stuff that happens, I have some real issues with entrepreneurship because it's sold in a light that I don't think is fair to entrepreneurship. And I also don't think it's fair because we've taught people this idea of hustle, and I'm really done with it. Because hustle, I think, is inherently negative. And don't get me wrong, I follow Gary Vee. I love him, and he talks about hustle and stuff. But I think we need to really replace this idea of hustle with grind. And that's about, you know, and having grit when things are hard. Because that's, I think, what we're really talking about. This concept of 18-hour days, like I worked an 18-hour day today, we've really glorified busy. And we've glorified this idea that it's sexy to work 18-hour days. It's not in any way, shape or form. When I say I do a 18-hour day, I don't clock in and clock out. This is a lifestyle. Mm-hmm. This means this morning at 5:30, I went out and went for a run. I count that as part of my working day because if I'm mentally and physically not well, guess what happens? Everything else falls apart. So suddenly I have to acknowledge that if I'm sick, I'm my business in many ways. There's a course you can buy and a book you can buy and all of that stuff. And that's very low tactile touch for me, right? Like, if any. You have these people who are like, I have to work 18 hours and grind and then and they feel guilty for having a nap. No, own it. Like, if you need that, you need it. You're a human being. We are complicated creatures. Like, and, you know, I'm really, I work really closely with people who have biological hacks. I think they're really, really cool. And I think it's really interesting when we learn how our bodies work and why we work the way we work and how that works. And I am fine with yesterday. I watched a movie during the day.
Yeah.
But I intentionally watched it. I sat down and I watched a whole movie and picked my phone up. I didn't check emails. I didn't chat to anyone else. I intentionally did the thing. And I got up and I was like, I had a really good day today. I had a really good day at work. I'm counting that.
Yeah.
I'm my business, like my whole life, like we embody entrepreneurship as a whole. Don't feel guilty about taking that time. You have to learn how your body works. I cannot, for the life of me, get good work done between about 12 and 2. That time for
I'm
me
with you
after
too.
lunch, I'm out.
Yeah.
Like I'm paying bills. I'm going for a run. I'm going for a swim. I'm calling my sister. I'm going shopping. I'm getting a massage. Like I'm okay with that because I know you need to know how your body works.
Yeah. And I agree with you because I think too many people get stuck in the amount of hours I work equals how hard I did. And it's like, but where were you productive? Show me your
busy versus
production.
productivity.
Yeah. And because, and I had talked to somebody a couple of weeks ago, and he had a great saying that he said, oh God, I wish I could remember it right off the top of my head. If what you're doing doesn't matter, if what you're doing doesn't matter. And it took me so long because I was like, what? That doesn't make any sense. But essentially the gist of it is you can be doing 50,000 things that don't matter. Like you could be, cleaning off your desk and dusting this and dusting that, but if the activities that you pick to do in your day aren't getting you towards your next goal or aren't preparing you for that, then you've really done nothing all day. And we've all wasted days away, but that's sometimes fun to do.
Own that. Like be cool. Like I need to not do anything today. I'm really tired. I'm watching a movie. I'm just not going to work for today. Like I'm taking Sunday off. I have literally messaged people and been like, hey, it's Sunday. I'll get back to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just so you know, like actually spending a day with my family. Like I'm going to do the thing. So I think we need to be very clear on if it's getting closer. And again, circling back to this part of why are we doing this whole entire bloody thing? It's so hard. It's so difficult. Like, why are we doing this thing? And what's our way of doing that? And what's the goal that we want to achieve here? Because then it's very easy to spend 4 hours on Canva and be like, I worked so hard today. I'm like, you didn't get anything out. You didn't do anything. You just I figured out how to make it a little bit transparent. Well, YouTube can teach you that in 3 seconds.
Yeah. And I think it's true. We get, there's so many people that sort of get stuck in that mentality of, of equating those two things together.
Yeah. And burnout is real.
Yeah. Well, and I think we're seeing more and more of it because like you said, everybody's just trying to grind as much stuff out, not taking into consideration. That's fine. Now you're going to work for a month and you're going to do these insane days and not get sleep. And then how much did you lose because then you had to take 2 weeks off because you're deathly ill, or you're finding yourself in the hospital because you've run your body so ragged that it doesn't even know how to function anymore. So how did that work for you?
Yeah.
To get to that.
Is this part of your business plan? Was this like a strategic thing you were thinking about?
Did you have hospitalization for 2 months in your plan? Because I don't remember seeing that.
It was a bold move. Let me know how that works out for you.
We'll just write that as bonus 2.
Good. Yeah, you met that KPI. Excellent.
So tell us a little bit about your Game Changer program that you have.
Yeah, so Game Changer is really, I'm hoping will be a really strong program that gives people, again, the right tools in the right time at the right order. So Game Changer starts with the idea of like, what do you want to do? What's your goals here? If you could design any life, and we start from like looking like a house, the foundation, and this is where people skip over, they're like, I'll just throw the walls up. No. You need to have the concrete done. So your why of we're doing this, why are we doing this? And if your why is I want to take my kids to Disneyland, so I need 6 figures. Firstly, what kind of trip to Disneyland is that? Because that's amazing.
A fantastic trip.
Yeah, but that's only 20 grand. Like wherever you are in the world, there's $20,000. Like, and that's if you stay for a month and you eat out every meal and you stay with like Mickey Mouse in your room, right? Like that's the premium. Everyone's flying like business class. This is the high end one, right? That's only 20 grand. So why are we really doing this? What is the real intention here? So we start with the why and then the goals, and then we move our way up really slowly, like how to do an elevator pitch. People I speak to on a daily basis that can't actually give me a really good, concise idea of what they do, and more importantly, who their ideal referral partner is and why that's important. Who do you need to be speaking to? And, you know, going back to who is your ideal client already speaking to? Where are they already spending their time? Where are they spending money? Like, how do we start marketing that? Then we go to social media, and then it's like, do you need to start a podcast? Do you need to write a book? So we do all the way from the very, very small fundamentals of why are we here all the way through to here's an Amazon bestseller. And it's all done in 12 weeks.
Oh, that's exciting.
So it's quite intensive in the idea of like a lot of touch points throughout it, but, you know, fully supportive, all done online. And I will badger you to make sure you get that done. And some people like, I don't want to do a podcast. That's okay. Work on the other stuff that you get to do.
Yeah. And I think that's key too. Like, I think, do you find that a lot of people try to, this is a bad saying, but like they just try to jump on bandwagons that they're like, well, people are doing, you know, people are doing this a lot. Cause I've seen that. I've talked to a lot of people who are like, I'm going to start a podcast. And I'm like, that's great. Why do you want to do that? And they're like, well, I don't know. Everybody's doing it.
Everyone's doing it.
It's not, you don't just flick on it. There's a lot of work that's behind it.
Oh my
like,
God,
it's
there's
not
so much work to a podcast.
It's not
and
easy. Like,
it. Yeah.
And I'm like, go ahead and try it. I'm never going to stop you from trying anything. But
yeah,
I think sometimes, do you find that people are still like, well, I want to do that because I see that person making a ton?
Yeah. So Forbes magazine did an article a few weeks ago, and it was based on this idea that in 2020, they're estimating that podcasting will be a $20 billion industry. And I would believe that, hands down.
Yeah.
You just start looking at sponsorships, you look at the money that changes hands per episode. If you're not in, when we talk about it being a lot of work, as in recording time takes a while. Sometimes some podcasts are edited, some are not. And we're doing at the moment a video as well as doing the audio. And so, you know, you're creating twice as much content and twice as much points. So, and there's coaching that goes around that. And you have to learn how to be a good interviewer, and you have to be a good listener, and you have to learn not to talk over top of people. But then you have to sound edit, and then you have to pick a music, and then you have to do your voiceover. Then you have to arrange time. Then you have to create the things and the supporting documents. And how do you find guests? This is where the time accrues.
Yeah.
Where the effort and the money changes hands is if you start outsourcing any of that. It used to be about $20 to get a podcast edited. We're now looking closer to $100 because it's such a huge industry now. Like, we're going to do show notes for you. And every time Jemimah talked about that one thing, when she talked about Gary Vaynerchuk, which I've now done again, we need to hyperlink that and make sure that refers, blah, blah, blah. This is the work. And then we have to upload it to the website and make sure it goes on Spotify. These things are not easily done.
Yeah.
I can teach a monkey to do most of this, but it is extremely time, it's a lot of time that goes into it, and it's a lot of work when you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah. And I think too, it's even more work when it's not aligning with your why and your end goal.
And I think this is something that happened with the business experiment. So in my book, I really talk about this in depth, but basically we were killing it. Like, the business experiment after 18 months was getting incredible guests on it. We were having people knocking our door down to come on there. And we were kind of at the real start of the podcast craze. And we were getting reaches of like 6 and 7 million episodes, like 6 and 7 million people. Like, we had huge things going on. And it basically came down to a conversation where we just went, yeah, I'm tired. Like, we left the party when the party was still booming. And went, this is in alignment with where there is going. This served us 18 months ago, but it's not serving us now. And that exit was incredibly painful and sad and all of that kind of stuff. And, you know, the business experiment will remain evergreen and a legacy to people who started a business to see if we could make it work. And it did. And we were like, experiment completed, click, tick, we did the thing. But it's a lot of work. And if it starts to become, it's not that it will be effortless, but it will be a lot easier. Like, when you're in alignment with what you're meant to be doing, it's so much easier. And so, you know, podcasting is an amazing tool to bring people together. Podcasting is an amazing way to build your profile. And I absolutely would recommend it, as long as it's the right podcast and it comes back to your why and it's in your goals and it's something that you want to do, because the time that's required and the financial impact is significant.
Yeah.
But also, yes, it's a $20 billion industry, but it's a lot of work to get it to where it will start really making some good cash.
Yeah. And I think that's it too. People will look at that and go, oh, it's a $20 billion industry. And it's like, yeah, but you're not getting that
but it's
piece
free
of that yet. Like right
you
now.
understand how helpful podcasts work. So you have to be good at it. You have to be funny. You have to be on the ball. You have to have cool people. You have to basically interview nobodies to then start getting some people with little bits of profile to then getting, you know,
you don't walk in at 20 billion. You're not getting that.
No,
you're not getting
that.
No. They're not going to be like, oh, you started a podcast. You have an episode. Here's a check.
Like, have a great time. Oh my God. But if they create that business, can someone let me know?
So when you decided to leave, what was that like? Because I've been in the situation where I had a successful business, but it just wasn't serving me. And I left. And I was honestly astounded by the feedback, the negative feedback that I was getting from people. Did you have that? Like that people are kind of like, why are you doing it? You're successful. Why on earth?
Yeah. It was such a double-edged sword. So Siobhan and I we remain really good friends and we speak regularly. It just became, we were having the same conversations and I felt like we weren't adding as much as we were previously. I felt like it had become more work. And I just went like, I think we need to wrap this up. Like, I think we're at the point, we had this really open discussion, like, this isn't where we're going. We were disagreeing on some stuff in a really healthy, kind of really good, a good business way. It was just like, I disagree. I think we should try this way. I think this way. And it was like, well, this is more in alignment with me. Well, this is more in alignment with me. So we did the announcement pretty quickly and we finished off like 2 weeks later. We didn't really give a lot of time for that feedback to come through, but we got a lot of emails like, I can't believe it's the last episode. And we did like this really nice kind of wrap up of like looking back at all the things that we've achieved and we've remained evergreen. But we had a lot of people give feedback. I'm very wary of when people start to give me feedback or give me like advice on this. And because my thing is like, I would never take feedback from someone I wouldn't go to advice from.
Absolutely.
Like, you have to be someone that I would seek out to have a conversation with. And someone was like, why don't you just buy it, like buy the business and you can run it by yourself and you can keep doing the podcast. I'm like, I don't want to do it anymore. Like, honestly, like to me, this isn't up my alley anymore. And then we had people who still kept emailing and saying like, oh, bring it back. Like I was like, there's 50 episodes, man. Go back and listen to any of them. Like, have a great time. Or find us on our other channels and you can still have a conversation with us. We're not disappearing from the world. But I think it was a lot of people wanted to tell me that it was a bad move. I think a lot of people wanted to be like, but it's working. Yeah. So, and you've got traction and people are doing it. And you have to really be honest about, again, going back to, this isn't my why anymore. This isn't in alignment with where I want to go. This isn't how I want to operate. This isn't how, I don't want to feel like I have to do something. And when I'm talking to a major celebrity on a podcast, I was like, I just remember thinking I would rather be I was looking at my counter with all the food on it and going, I'd rather make a fruit salad right now. Like, that's what I want to do. And there was a lot of grief that came with that because I was sort of letting go of part of my identity. And it had been the thing that really gave me a media profile and voice and gave me, it was like, I cannot explain to you at the height of the business experiment how surreal it was to open a Marie Claire magazine and we were in it. Like, eventually people stop telling you that you're going to be in stuff.
Yeah.
They stop calling and saying we're running a story. They just go and do it. And that's really a surreal moment when that happens. Or like someone was on a Qantas flight, one of the Australian airlines, and opened up a magazine and was like, you guys were in the Qantas magazine. Did you know? I was like, no, but can you steal that? Because I want it.
Yeah.
Okay, like this was real. We did this. It was a hard call. And anyone that is in that situation, as I know, like you will exactly feel the same way.
Yeah.
It's a really difficult call.
Yeah. And it wasn't,
but when it's time.
Yeah. And I think that was my biggest thing. Like, I knew it was time. But a lot of people, I found it so funny that people were like, well, this is just out of nowhere. And I'm like, no, this is 6 months of really thinking hard. Like, I didn't just wake up one morning and go, I don't want to do this anymore. I really had to really dig deep, because this is something I built from scratch. Like I created this baby and now I'm just going, like, it wasn't an easy decision to make, but it's, I think it's that mentality that people go, but it's successful and it's making you money, so you should just do it forever. And I'm like, but I don't like it anymore.
Yeah, but this is really boring.
And what I don't like, I get out of my life. Like it's,
Yeah.
I want to leave it now when, we're leaving each other healthy, as opposed to, because I will crumble it to the ground if I stay here. And it just wasn't, it wouldn't have been healthy in the end for me personally. I think to stay.
Oh, absolutely. And I think one of the things with entrepreneurs is you have to be so confident in who you are and so centered into your why, your entire being, to know when you don't have to explain anything to anyone else. This is one of the things that it took me a long time to get my head around. But I remember someone's like, so you worked for the police and then you started a jewelry business and now you have a podcast. Explain that to me. And I was like, no, I'm not explaining shit to you. I'm done. I'm done explaining my life to you. Like, I don't owe you an explanation on why I'm doing this. But if I built it, I get to take it away. Yeah. No one would have questioned you if you just resigned from a job because you didn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah. And I think that's true. I think that I remember people saying that too. And even when I had multiple businesses at once, and that was the question they'd always ask, explain to me how these go together. Like, how do these businesses work? And I'm like, they don't. And they're like, well, why? And I'm like, because I wanted to open that one. But, and I usually would turn the question back. I go, you tell me how you think these connect together. Because I'm curious what little line you're going to use to connect these suckers together. Yeah. Like it wasn't about that. It was, they were their own entities. Like, but I think I love what you said about that. Is it's true. We need to stop feeling the necessity to constantly explain our reasoning for things.
Yeah.
It can be just because.
Yeah. And I think women feel like we need to do that more than men. I don't think any of my male friends have ever been called up and been like, why are you guys quitting your podcast? Or like, oh, I don't know if that's happened. I don't know if that's whether that's fair or not, but I've never heard any of my male friends being like, I'm exiting a business, and no one's ever like, why are you selling? Yeah. Oh my God, did you guys have a fight? Oh my God. I was like, no, we just don't do this anymore. And it's like, I got called, it was like politically incorrect. And I was like, what? And they said, oh, you just say the things that you're thinking. And I was like, I don't think that's politically incorrect. Like, I'm extremely politically correct in the sense that I'm never a jerk to anyone. I don't call names. I won't badmouth another person. I'm not doing any of that. What I will do is call it how I see it. And I was like, and they're like, maybe blunt is the word we should use. I'm like, I don't think a man's ever been called blunt. So it's just this, again, I think coming back to me being extremely pro females in this, but I think we're asked to justify our decisions a little bit more. Do you find, I think we're more scrutiny.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Do you find that you get those titles or those things put onto you more from other women? Like when they say that you're blunt and that you're...
Yeah, I think it's probably a pretty even split. I've mostly worked with men, so in my professional working career, and I think unapologetic was a word I got called recently, and I was like, no man's ever been called that. I don't think, and I think also the women that I probably would have been earlier in my career, but the women that I'm associating with now, again, coming back to this idea of sum of 5 people, and you're a sum of the people you spend the most time with, that the men in my life would never do that, and the women in my life are probably the people that get labeled with that as well. So it's kind of the external people that I get that from, like people that either interview me or I come across an idea like a keynote and they're like, oh, you just and you don't have to be for everybody. This is really important. You should be polarizing people or people. There's nothing worse than like, she's okay. No one likes you or doesn't like you. Nothing worse. I'm like, I'd rather people be like, I don't want to work with you. Good. I don't want to work with you either. Or I'm deeply obsessed with you and I need to work with you right now. These are the 2 responses I get. This person's really annoying, or, oh my God, I'm obsessed with her. And that's where you should be in this whole idea of that. But I think, you know, the women in my life now, it's all about building each other up.
Mm-hmm.
And if you aren't helping, you know, I'll never talk like smack about another woman ever, or another man for that matter, because this is hard enough. Let's not tear each other down. And when we're not in competition, this is the other thing like that I am so passionate about, is that we've been tricked into thinking that because she's a coach and I'm a coach, that there's only one client. What are we going to do? No, let's collaborate. Like, you want to do like an event together? Let's do that. We are not in competition with each other here.
Yeah. And I think that's true. And I see it all the time. And I remember I do a lot of collaborations as sort of one of my other businesses. And so many times people are like, well, I can't work with them. They're in the same industry as me. I'm like, that's exactly why you need to work together.
Yeah.
But
do an event together.
It's that mentality of I have to keep myself completely separate. And I'm like, that's a very lonely existence for doing
It's
that.
also really dangerous, because if it's us, you know, it's me versus them mentality, straight away, like I would prefer, you know, I've sat in rooms with people and be like, we should do an event together. I'm like, oh, I would love to do an event with you. And they're like, we kind of do the same thing. I was like, but people are going to resonate with me and they're going to resonate with you. And if our only goal there is to make money at the end of the day and not just put on a really good event and give people the right tools in the right time in the right order and the right strategy, if that's my goal here, then I shouldn't be worried about the upsell later and who they start working with. As long as they're working with someone, that should be my outcome.
Yeah. And I agree with you. I always say to people, you might do the same thing, but you never do it the same way. And you're going to hit different people, because one person sitting at a table might go, you know, and I'm like you, I have a very strong personality, and it took me a long time to be okay with it. And now it's like, some people will be like, I don't like her. And I'm like, that is totally okay.
Cool.
I know I am not for everybody. Let me tell you, sweetheart, I know I come in like a storm. It's okay. But I know that those people get drawn to me. And so the ones that I like having those same people who are in my industry. So I go, if like a bull in a china shop kind of isn't your thing, here's somebody that maybe is more aligned with who you are and what you need.
And you need to have those people in your back pocket. You need to have those other coaches that you can refer to. You need to have other people that you can send them to, because if your goal is to help somebody, you should be helping them, even if it means you're not getting the dollars. And the really hard truth here is also, if it comes down to money for you, you're in the wrong game. But because there's a lot of other ways to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
But more importantly, that if you are a smart business person, you have referral programs with people. So you say, well, I don't think we're a good fit. And not all dollars are created equal. There are some clients who are like, I want to work with you. And I talk to them and I'm like, oh, not in a million years. I would rather cut my own leg off than like have to spend time with you. For many reasons. I had someone the other day who was extremely aggressive on the phone. And I was like, I don't know each other. And I was like, I do not feel like I could confront you and go, listen, what you've just said there, I don't think. And I was like, I'm going to test this a little bit. And just a bit of pushback. And he got really mad. And I was like, I never, ever want to be in a situation where I get yelled at for doing my job. And you're not paying me for that. Like, there's not enough money for that, right? So not all dollars are created equal. Not all clients are created equal. But more importantly, you know, I should be able to send them to other people I could recommend. So that person, I was like, I don't think I'm the right person, but I can recommend you to one of my male friends who's also a coach, and he's really good at his job. And I think immediately they got along a little bit better, and he could match that level of aggressiveness. That's not in my personality at all. And not everyone's going to like you. Good.
Yeah.
Save yourself a sales conversation, and nothing worse than just being like, I guess she's all right.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's true. Like, I remember even like when I was younger and growing up, and, you know, of course you want everybody to like you. And my mom always said to me, if you have people out there who aren't liking you, then just feel like you know that you're doing your job right. And at least you're being authentic. Because if every single person in the world likes you, that means you're conforming to everybody's idea. And that's exhausting.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't think I can do that.
No one's picking vanilla at the ice cream shop, kids. No one's walking in and being like, I want the vanilla. They want the chocolate ripple or the cheesecake or the bubble. Like, they want that real thing, not the vanilla. Don't be vanilla. Like, and not everyone's going to want, you know, sprinkles bubble gum with chocolate poured on top of it. That's okay. Wait for that person to get there that does want that.
Yeah. So what's coming up in this new year? You know, we're going into 2020 and everybody's all excited about the new decade. So what's on the horizon for you?
Yeah, so I just got back to Australia. I've been traveling for the last year through Canada and America, and I've had the best time. So at the moment, I've come back to Australia in the middle of the bushfires, hilarious.
Yes.
And then we've had massive flooding, also great. The opposite of a problem, which if you throw water onto fire, it just creates a lot of smoke. So it's also just been like, you wouldn't be surprised if you saw a zombie or Satan walking around, right? You just feel like, yeah, that seems about right. Like, it looks like the apocalypse here at the moment. It's so good.
Oh my gosh.
So I came back to this and I'm like, what is going on? Thank you, Australia, for the homecoming. Yeah, so I'm in the process of relocating back to Australia, and then really working on the program like Game Changer. So for me, it's just about getting as many people in that as I can, and just getting as many people as I can to kind of achieve their goals in 2020, because I think I'm really kind of done. I've had enough conversations in the last 2 years with people like, I kind of want to start a business, but I'm not sure. And I'm like, well, I just don't know where to start. Seems to be this recurring conversation about, I don't know where to start with this. And I'm talking all the way through to like, I'm not going to, I give you tips on how to pick a business name, how to get your tax file number done. If you're in Australia, US, I definitely skipped you guys, and especially Canada. Sorry guys. Also did that. Just that real basics all the way through to start a podcast, write a book. This is how you do it. The formula. Here is the formula. Because I think everything can get broken down into real dot points of how to do things. And if we get a strategy and a process. So that's the big push. And then just keep building my profile and keep doing that and helping as many people as I can along the way. Because I think in history, when we look back, we're going to be, this is the third wave of feminism that's happening at the moment. We're seeing such a huge shift, and a lot of women are stepping up to the plate. And I'm so excited to see how that plays out in the next 5 to 10 years. I think we can have really big changes. And more importantly, I think we're just going to be in this beautiful place where women are going to start really stepping into their own power. And I want to be part of that.
That's awesome. Oh, I agree with you. I can't wait to see what's happening. And I'm enjoying any little piece I can add into that.
It feels
along the way,
like our energies have synced up. Like, I think we're remembering who we were in this really inherent, and I don't want to go off on a huge feminist rant, and I'm so pro men in business too. Please don't think if you're a dude listening to this, she's a feminazi. I'm not, but I'm really passionate about it because I'm watching women shift, and I'm watching women overachieve, and I'm watching women change, and I'm watching people step into their own stuff really, really powerfully. And I mean, you look at, the Kardashians, just as an example. We're looking at one of the Jenner kids. She's now a billionaire, and she's like 21. Well, we all sat there and laughed at them doing this TV show. Yeah, she made $1 billion.
There's something to be said about it, right? Like, I know a lot of people, and it's the same way. I have some relatives and stuff who are like, "Did you see what they wore?" And I'm like, "No, I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't affect my life." But brilliant business strategies. Like I said, that I envy them for. Absolutely. They have brilliant business strategies.
But I
don't really care what they're wearing or how big their butt is today.
Good. That's great for you, not for me. Like,
you enjoy it.
Yeah, if you're into that and you want to go and watch that on TV, I am not going to stop you. I'm going to be fully supportive of how you spend your time as your business. Great for you, not for me. But when you see what these women are achieving, like, this is globing around the world. Like, people were like, yeah, we were put as pretty little playthings to be put on Instagram to be pretty and wear bikinis and do the cute thing and do the thing. And then women are like, sure, but watch what else I can do. And I think that's really where we're heading at the moment, I think. And I'm really interested to see in the next 5 years, and especially with things that are happening around the world at the moment politically, and we're seeing this huge push at the moment. And I realize Australia is kind of ground zero for this discussion around climate change right now, and how instrumental like women are going to be in this. We're starting to remember who we were. We were revered goddesses. Yeah, and it's time we get back there. Ladies, act accordingly, right? Man, I'm not kidding, like 2 seconds off going off a feminist rant about how we ended up being the bottom of the pile again. And I was like, no. pull it in. This is a business podcast.
But it's true. I mean, no matter, what I always say is, even if you get to the bottom, regardless of what your life is, the good thing is that you can always go up.
Yeah.
So,
and we've started.
Don't be upset about that. Because I see a lot of people, say that, and even said it to me. Well, yeah, but it's easy for you because you're successful. And I'm like, oh, no. Still have failures. They're just bigger. Right?
Yeah. And they're way more public.
Yeah. Now people see them all.
Yeah.
Like before it didn't matter, but now
when you have like millions of people kind of watching your stuff, and like, thousands of people on social media who are watching you. When I got married, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Look at my beautiful dress. And everyone's like, oh, congratulations, got shared. And then I split with my husband. And then I had to kind of go, that's the thing.
By the way.
And then when the media ran stories on it, I went, oh God, this is a real thing now. Like, so this became, if I was wondering how I was going to tell people it's over my husband, that one story that got 7 million shares and views really helped. So there's two sides to the story. Like, it's way more public, but it's like the failures are much bigger financially. Sometimes they have more of an impact. But I think, one of the things that we need to acknowledge is that you're never going to get it right in the first place. You're never going to get it right. You're always going to have failures. And the reason I'm successful is because I failed 1,000 times and I just found 1,001 ways to make it work. Yeah.
And I agree. Like, I don't love them at the moment, but I love my failures because I know now when I hit that point, there's a lesson there. So now it becomes about figuring out that lesson. What do I need to learn from this? And it becomes sort of a way to keep myself out of it. I still give myself my moment to sit in the closet and eat my Haagen-Dazs and cry and whoa, poor me. And, but I get over that a lot quicker.
How did that not work? Wow. And I think because when you're an entrepreneur, you're more invested, right? Like it's your baby, like, and it's your business and and it feels a lot more personal, but the truth is it failed for a reason.
Yeah. And then you just have to discover why and move on from it.
And I think my favorite person at the moment for this is Lizzo, because she had so many, like, she released Truth Hurts like 2 or 3 years ago, right? And this song at the moment is everywhere. If you've missed this song has been everywhere during like 2019, 2020, like over winter in North America and summer in Australia. This was like been everywhere, right?
Yeah.
She released it like 3 years ago and it didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And she's like, but I know it's a good song. And it just turns out she hadn't found her right audience yet. So, and this being the point to this whole story, right, is that it can be incredibly, just because you release something doesn't mean it's not a good idea. It just could just be marketed wrong, or it could be the wrong thing. Like, there's a lesson in here to take out of it. So if something failed, just give it a bit of time.
Yeah. Because it doesn't necessarily
before her time.
Yeah. Because maybe it failed for different reasons. Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's not like you can't pick it up. I've picked up some things that didn't work out and tried them again, and then they worked out really good. Right. Yeah. Same thing that you're like, oh, well, I thought that was a good idea back then, but the world wasn't ready for it.
And you have to trust the process, I think, as well. You have to really understand that this is a process. The whole thing is a process.
So if people are interested in working with you and being able to sort of take themselves forward more, where is the best avenue for them to find you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook and Instagram, but my website is definitely the go-to place, and that's jemimaashley.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for spending time with me today and coming back to the past.
Yeah, I had a really good time. It's good. I can tell you the future is quite warm. It's about 30 degrees here.
Yeah, it's not too bad. We're still in snow, but it's Canada.
Yeah, that sounds terrible. I did that.
We're so used to it.
I was like, I don't do any of this anymore. This is terrible. Which Australian was like 40 degrees as I walked off. And I was like, this is so good.
This is it. This is what
I'm a lizard for the rest of my life.
Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me.
One of the things that I loved the most about meeting Jemimah was meeting somebody who is truly authentic. Someone who's at the top of her game and is not shy of saying something that might be controversial, something that maybe not everybody agrees with, but that is true to her. And she's willing to stand her ground and say her piece and not apologize for who she is. And that type of personality is just so attractive to me, because you guys have heard me say this numerous times on the show, but being our true selves, which means showing not only the good, but the bad and the ugly, not only showing your successes, but revealing your failures as well to help others grow. That's what life is all about. And in talking with Jemimah, one of the things that she said is her favorite sayings is that life is not a dress rehearsal. This is it. This is the big show. And it's so true to what I always say, because no matter what you're doing in life, go full tilt and make sure that while you're doing it, you're having fun. Because if you're not having fun, why are you doing it?